So, guys, congratulations on the film. Such a wonderful blend of the touching and the, dare I say it, the ridiculous. Although, Ben, it is a serious subject, but I wondered why you wanted to bring some humour into it as well, and how you managed to balance the two, because I did sort of detect a bit of Bill Forsyth there with the phone box.
Yeah, there is a little bit of an homage to Bill Forsyth there, for sure. I think, I mean, part of it is that, that use of humor and dealing with certain, socio-political, often serious subject matters with this kind of deadpan absurdist humor. That's something that's quite integral to me as a filmmaker and my style and sensibility. So I knew when I was approaching this subject matter that I wanted to find a way to use humor with it and look at it from a kind of an oblique angle and really kind of push the big subject to the background and just tell a simple kind of human story. And yes, then in terms of balancing that tone, it was extremely difficult, and it was a process that went through from the screenwriting, and all the way through the production. It was really kind of using all of the tools available as a filmmaker to balance the tone. So it's creating an undertone of humor through the cinematography or the production design, the use of costume, the use of color, and then obviously going into the edit and spending a long time over cutting it together, or how we use the sound to balance humor or the score. So it was a kind of massive challenge all the way through. And also, I should say, kind of taking, advice in the research process as well from people that had been through the asylum system, and actually almost asking permission to use comedy or use humor when approaching this subject matter. And that came back with a resounding, like, yes, these people that were tired of these very tragic depictions of the refugee experience.
It's a very unforgiving landscape that you've set it in, though. Why did you decide to film it in Scotland? Did you look at anywhere else?
It's for a few reasons. I mean, one of the things is that early on in the process, I was kind of getting certain images in my head, and I was imagining the landscape, and I was imagining this character walking through this sort of vast, unforgiving landscape. And we actually, we looked at the Northwest Fjords in Iceland very, very early on. And when we were there, it kind of became apparent that this could actually be set closer to home. And around that time as well, refugees were being sent to some of the remote Scottish islands, but they already had refugee status. So it's very different to what we're seeing in the film, because they're asylum seekers and they can't integrate into society in the same way. So it was kind of partly taken from that, and then partly taken from the reality that in a lot of European countries, asylum seekers are sent to remote communities to wait for their asylum claims. So it's kind of marrying those two realities and then creating this sort of fictional, absurdist island, which is also really a metaphor for the purgatory that the characters are stuck in.
Amir, as an actor, what was it like for you working in that landscape? Because it looked very misty and wet and cold. I mean, was it as bad as it looked? And how did you keep warm?
we had an amazing costume department on Rebecca.
Lots of layers then.
Lots of layers in between takes. People were there ready at hand to kind of help us and keep us staying warm, at least when we're not filming. But I was excited. I was so excited. Growing up in London, I'm used to kind of a busier landscape, and I relish the opportunity to be in a very quiet, isolated area, really.
So you were out of your comfort zone, really.
Pretty much, and also, not having really great reception. There was only like one network that worked, and nobody had that network.
Of course,
we had to get them in, but yeah, I think I had a really good night's sleep. I'd say, I've never seen a sky that dark, pitch black at night. It was incredible.
No light wash at all.
Gosh, absolutely nothing. But yeah, no, it was freezing cold. Jokes aside, it was very, very hard. And it's probably one of the hardest jobs I've done in terms of, in terms of the conditions and the gravity of the subject matter. But it was so comforting knowing that we were all there, as cheesy as that sounds, together on the island, and there was constant feedback there. And Ben and I had an amazing working relationship on set. And we were constantly communicating, and that's something as an actor when that happens, you feel very, very grateful. A real actor's director, and it's great, because you're constantly working on the character even when you're offset.
You can't see him, but Ben's blushing at the moment. So now your character Omar is a musician as well, and you carry your oud around with you all the time. But you also had to learn to play it. So how did you get on with that?
Yeah, well, all thanks to Atab Haddad and Khim Allami who composed the piece. There was a lot of moments of ripping my hair out and going, this isn't going to work. And Ben, what have you done? You should have got a musician to play this role. But luckily, and very kindly, Ben left that as the last scene. And he said, there's no escaping it. We're going to start off as a wide and we're going to pan slowly in. So you're going to need to learn a few things. And luckily, I was practicing every single day. And I was working with Khiam over Skype even when I was there on set. Every day after working on set, I would spend a couple of hours. And just to, know how to hold it, know the basic chords. This is 7 years of mastering an instrument like this crammed into 2 months. So I'm just very, very happy and pleased that we managed to, make it as believable as possible.
You definitely got there. Thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to talk to you both. And like I say, wonderful film. So congratulations again. And thank you.